Sean, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. There you go.
Are you doing okay, Sean?
Yeah, I am still not recovered yet. I'm okay though.
The boys? Oh, I guess, yeah, two boys. You got two boys down.
Yeah, just so you know, we're live on YouTube. But yeah, they're doing okay.
Okay.
They're
Oh, I see.
surviving as well. They're better than I am.
Good. Live on YouTube, waiting for the meeting. Okay. You can go ahead and mute us.
Carrie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
be careful, I can't say names on live YouTube. Start asking Sean how he's doing. Oh, no. Are you on mute?
I'm still muted.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I couldn't tell.
When Sean was talking, it was like all red.
Okay.
And then I'm running
Is
around
that
looking for
you?
my glasses.
Or is
when
that
I'm
the-
trying to
He's
read,
had
and they
it.
were sitting
He's had
right
it a
here.
couple of board meetings,
Uh-huh.
That happens.
but it's supposed to be
Usually
louder
around
for
my
you
head.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't even walk without mine, so I
it,
can't.
it
No
is.
choice.
It is
They just are
better.
foggy
Yeah,
half the time.
I mean, I didn't
can't
have
see out of
really
those
any
either.
trouble.
Hey, Marcy, do you have an extra that I could use?
And then, you know, for you guys to talk the distance wise,
Yeah.
it's supposed to pick up.
I don't anticipate
Better.
any visitors coming.
No. Well, actually, my mother-in-law said something about coming. I said, well, there's paperwork you need to do, and then I never heard back. So she may just join in. I think she kind of heard the news late about the post or the remote learning and stuff, and so I think she heard it like maybe a week after, and so then she,
Oh,
I think that's what it
Oh,
was.
like,
the special meeting.
we'd already done the special.
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
Oh, me. You had a quorum, you can start.
Okay.
Oh, and apparently we're unmuted, so.
Minutes, 2 Marcy. So is that everybody who's up there? Or, no,
Yeah.
that's not everybody. Is Quinn?
Yeah, there's no Quinn yet. I'm not sure if he's planning on being there in person or
Okay.
online.
Sandy, is she there?
Sandy's here.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, good.
That's,
Must be that arrow thing, gotta go over.
oh, yeah, can you, then we can see those. Yeah,
Oh,
there's,
there's-
that's it.
There we go.
Okay, okay, we can begin the meeting. I call it no good excuses for it, just am. So we'll call the meeting to order and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any visitors online? Or any other
I
visitors?
don't think no other visitors online.
No other visitors signed in to speak, so,
We are streaming on YouTube, so there are visitors that we don't track that way.
oh, okay. Then we will move on with no public comment tonight. Our consent agenda includes the minutes of November 9 meeting, the minutes of our special meeting, November 30, which I have here and you have copies of, district financial reports, district bills, surplus property, which was a welder, and something else.
Cement mixer.
Hmm?
Cement mixer.
Oh, yeah, cement mixer. Does that come with a motor or what? Or just a little cement mixer? And then Associated Student Body Financial Reports. So, does anyone have questions, any changes to the minutes? Or questions about any of the reports?
It looks like, did all the Chromebooks start showing up? Is that, or do we just get charged for them? Then,
Paid for them,
uh-huh,
I'm holding on to the check, so that I could submit to get reimbursed from the, for the grant, because we had to, spend before December, and by December. So I'm just holding on the check till it comes.
okay. Is it like all that, like the Chromebooks and is there AirPods on there?
Yeah, the AirPods we do have.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, it's just mainly the Chromebooks and some computers.
okay. That was the only thing I saw. Out of the ordinary, it seems like.
Jackie, can you, mine didn't sign in. Can you sign it in somewhere? Or, sorry about that. Okay, so any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Any other ones? Could you guys hear that about the Chromebooks?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, if not, then we could entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
Thank you, Carrie.
Carrie.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Anybody opposed to the motion? Anybody abstaining from the motion? Then it passes unanimously. What's next on the agenda there, Polly?
Action item, math product committee recommendation.
Okay,
You want this? Cindy?
No,
I can
Here,
look
I'll
at
get
it.
another one.
I'm just,
okay,
There's one more.
thank you. I loaded it before I left my house, but it certainly didn't have time to load all of it.
I'm getting the wrong, if you know the password for this.
Thank you.
I don't think it's changed since.
I'm just gonna try the ones I know can, and we'll see.
Okay, thanks.
Try this one.
So Mr.
but
Teagues,
it may have
are you
changed.
giving the committee's recommendation or as a board member?
I can give the committee's recommendation. Wanted kind of a bummer for me that I'm not there in person to do this tonight, but I just want to first I'll start off and then obviously board members who participated if they want to add in. But just want to thank we'll kind of work backwards the committee for all the work that they've done. I know it's been kind of a slow process. Just the whole process has been kind of slow and interrupted with the pandemic and other things. But the committee was a mix of kids from grades 4th grade and up, and then also parents, alumni, community members, board members, and then staff as well. I thought they were always very thoughtful about the process. Spent a lot of time, talking about the character traits of the town of Nez Perce, and I know we talked about that in a previous board meeting. But small and mighty and powerful, and lots of traits like how we support each other and how we're wise and smart. And after a process of narrowing it down to 4, they continued to work, and we got feedback and some drawings. And the committee, on a nearly unanimous vote, but a very happy by everybody, voted to recommend to the board the Nez Perce Nighthawks. It would be NIGHTHAWKS. The Nez Perce Nighthawks would be the new mascot. I think there's still some continued to work if the board elects to go that direction with a mascot to, come up with some of our own district owned art, etc., and kind of a rebranding. But I also believe that we could begin using the mascot effective immediately if the board was okay with it. So with that said, it looked to me, I was trying to figure out as I was talking, it looks like Quinn is trying to maybe join a different link because I got an email notification. I tried to send him a quick text, but I still don't see him on here. So Sandy, do you have anything to add while I check in with Quinn here? Were you guys able to hear me there? I don't know when my mic unmuted.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So I don't know, Sandy, do you have anything extra there?
You might be muted, Sandy, if you're trying to talk. Nope, she's not.
So I really did not intend to have 2 board members that were at the committee muted. I'm not scared of what they would have to say here.
It doesn't appear that she's muted.
Yeah, it'd just be her microphone. I guess we didn't do a microphone check on her.
She talked earlier.
No, I didn't see Sandy on there, so I didn't check with her.
We're on Zoom. She can chat, but she's having trouble. Sandy, if you're having trouble communicating, could you let us know in the chat? Otherwise, we'll proceed.
Hold on.
Oh, there you
There you
are.
are. Oh, there you were.
I can hear you now.
Can you give us a sound check? Something's not working.
Yeah, I can hear the background.
Okay. Well. Does anybody, while we're waiting, anyone, other board members have questions for Mr. Teagues about the committee's work or the recommendation or anything like that? Kind of like the Bluebird deal, but you know, I'm good with Nighthawks. I don't know, what was it? Blue Jays, I guess what it was.
I think it was Bluebirds.
Sean, are you still there?
I thought it was like the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh.
I think we lost Sean too.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
Oh,
go.
I don't know, your computer is doing some other things. There we go.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a new computer from my boss.
I'm back now, so I was trying to get Quinn going. He's going to reset his computer and get on. I'm not sure what happened in the interim to Sandy, but
she clicked off, I think. I think
try to rejoin.
yeah.
Perhaps with both those board members joining, we can just pause on that, and I think we still have a quorum. So
Okay,
Yeah, be nice to hear.
I think it's on.
I would like to hear. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
yeah,
Okay, then maybe we could go to the next item on the action items, which is school opening operations plan and amendments and changes.
yeah. I and here's Sandy. Let me add her in, and there's Quinn. So we'll be up and running here.
Well, then maybe we'll just not go ahead. We'll wait for them.
It's like they're both on. Quinn's coming. There you go. Do a quick. Oh, there, I can hear Sandy now. Perfect. And Quinn, are you able to speak?
He's muted.
Yeah, muted. Sometimes if you just hold space bar, it'll unmute temporarily.
Can you?
Yeah.
There we go. Now can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. All right, so Sandy and Quinn, you guys are coming in here now. I just kind of introduced, made the recommendation for the Nez Perce Nighthawks. I don't know if either one of you two wanted to share a little bit about the experience or the recommendation or anything else like that.
No, I think it went really well. The kids were great. They had great ideas.
Yeah, no, I think everything went well with that.
I think it's a mascot that the kids are excited about, both whether it's high school kids or whether it's the elementary kids. I realize, as always, this is a big change, and things are different, and they've been a certain way for a long time, and that's always hard. But again, I would emphasize this was never about changing the past or anything else like that, but about finding a way to move forward in a positive light. And I think that recommendation is exactly that.
Thank you, all three of you, for your work on the committee and other committee members. We sure appreciate it on the board. And I hope you'll express that to the other committee members on our behalf. If there's anybody on the board have questions or the word on the committee have any questions for Sandy or Quinn?
I guess I just want to know, those things that Sean said about, kind of like our history, but like, why the Nighthawk? What attributes of this particular bird make it the right mascot for Nez Perce?
This is Sean. I think the trait of small and mighty seemed to come up a lot. A fierce bird, kind of with that hawk. There was some discussion. A nighthawk is a real bird. Its territorial area includes most of Idaho. It's actually a migratory bird. It's maybe less impressive than what you might think the actual bird, I guess, in terms of, it's not the biggest or most powerful hawk out there. It, flies around at night in the evenings and catches bugs. But, a lot of discussion was brought up, a mascot doesn't have to be exactly what the actual animal is. And obviously it can become other things. I think there was some attraction because of the alliteration there too. And that wasn't the driving factor with the decision, but the N and the N. And just generally the sound of it. I would say generally the small but fierce and mighty was kind of the connecting principles.
Okay, I just want to be able to defend it when somebody asks me because.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I don't have any, but thanks you guys for all of your work on that, and I'm happy with the outcome.
Me too.
It's gonna, yeah.
It's gonna be great. I love alliteration, always have.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how it turns out.
Yeah.
Well, again, if somebody feels prepared to make a motion on this, we can move forward with it.
I'll move to approve the new mascot of the Nighthawks.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandy. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Is there anybody opposed to the motion? Is there anybody abstaining from the motion? And I'm happy to report the motion is unanimous. Kids are excited, and I am too, and I'm glad that they are.
Some of them.
It'll be fun to work with.
The majority, yeah.
And they've seen some of the pictures out there of other mascots around the country, and they like what they've seen.
Good, that'd be great. Well, Wikipedia tells me it was first mentioned in the Bible in King James Version in 1611. That's
Oh,
the
wow.
first recorded name of Nighthawk. I don't know if Wikipedia is a chosen source, but anyway. Okay, moving on. Now we'll go to school reopening operations plan and amendments and changes. You got a copy of that in your packet. And Mr. Teagues, could you tell us what are the amendments and changes?
So no, you can hear me, right? Yeah, no major changes. Really, the one update is that there was a move. Originally we were thinking maybe we'd have to shut off Salad Bar if we got to orange or red. I really think with the great steps that Jenny's made, that I don't want to have that listed as an option in orange. I think it's still potentially an option, but there's just no real need. She can do it in a really clean and easy manner, and I don't think it's any risk to our kids, and they're healthier when we have Salad Bar options. So we're probably burning through a little bit more plastic containers this year because it's all individual serving like that, but just wouldn't want to lose that if we had to move into an orange or red.
Well,
that's the change, nothing else.
okay. Yeah, I didn't see myself there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to, this is part of our policy, so we need to, if you have questions or comments, you can make them now, or we also need a motion to change that.
I move to accept the amendment and changes to the school reopening operations plan.
Thank you. Polly made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That's a tie. Tie goes. He hasn't seconded anything yet. Okay, discussion on the motion? Seeing none, is there anybody opposed to the motion? Anybody abstaining from the motion? Okay, that passes. That's amended up. I don't know, the fourth time now. It's a living document, I think. Fan attendance at athletic events. Mr. Teagues, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you repeat what you said? I forget where we're at now. Are we at fans?
Fan attendance at athletic events.
Yeah. All right, I'll do my best. It sounds like we're coming in kind of choppy. I'm hoping my voice is coming in okay, but not a lot of update for me on fan attendance. As you all know, the several organizations, but primarily the ISBA, came out with that pretty, what I would call, clear and definitive guidance regarding the governor's order and opening activities to fans. In that, I guess the general take is just a reminder for all of us that as board members, there is potential liability that could extend into personal liability. There are professional codes and ethics. Same, as a superintendent, for me, there is certification in the Public Professional Standards Commission as well. And so there's a lot of stake in making sure that as a board that we're following established law, and governor's orders fall into that category as well. I got an email early this morning from a superintendent who's involved who's our region representative on the IHSAA, that things are changing and perhaps will be changing with the governor's order sooner rather than later. I think there's building pressure around the state to come up with something that is, I guess I would say, a little bit more reasonable for at least parents to be able to attend games. I still don't have details about what that is, but one thing I guess I can assure you as a board is that perhaps, if the timing of that comes out this week, I guess my reading of it was that it could be as soon as this week something could come out. I think as an administrator, we can certainly, I don't have to wait with the 10-person rule that we have right now to shift our plan to something maybe a little bit more liberal if the governor comes out with that. And then I can share that plan individually with you. And then if the board, wants to sit back down prior to Christmas or whenever it does come out, then we can have a little bit deeper conversation about that. But I feel comfortable in that as long as you guys are okay, we will follow, like we have been, the governor's order. And if that means that we can kind of stretch and allow some more people in, then I think I will certainly do that if it's allowable under that governor's order. So I don't know that it takes any, I guess I'm not proposing any official action by the board on the plan, other than to know that if it changes, I certainly can open it up. And if the board wants to guide me on that, you could as well.
I think when the governor's thing comes out, if it's clear, if it doesn't require like a lot of interpretation or massaging to get the thing through, then it'd be a lot easier for you to just implement it and the board won't need to approve it. I think as long as that.
Right. I think that's right. And anytime you're not allowing some people in, you have the potential for people that are upset. It could be, how come person X gets in and not person Y, or those kind of things. I kind of asked to see if there's any specifics, but we're probably not going to know until it comes out. And I guess my two guesses are this. One would be that it would just open it up to like family and kind of like nuclear family, and be very specific about that. That would have less of an impact on us because we're already, we're able to have the parents in there because we're small. That's going to have a bigger impact on some of the larger schools. Or the other option that I'm hearing thrown about is something based off of a percentage of what fire code says about your building. We have the building inspector coming tomorrow. I visited with him already a little bit about our, fire code and capacity. And still needs to be recalculated, and I guess it's set by the local fire chief. And so I've also visited with Dave Kuthra a little bit about that. But if it's some percentage of that, I believe it will be in the range of 300 people in that gym, and then some percentage of that will be would be allowable if that happens. We had a plan in place. Of course, it never got board approved because there was, well, I guess it did. We did discuss it, but to allow those 30 people on each side as well. And so that's kind of sitting there too. If it comes up being something like 25% of fire capacity, then we could certainly implement a plan like that as well. I guess the other thing to think about, if parents are allowed, then that would mean visiting parents, according to what I'm hearing too. So there, you would not just be allowing home parents, and then our parents would also be able to travel to games. There's some conversation that, with some loosening like that, there also might be some tightening, like which we already have in place, but like masks would be required and physical distancing would be required. Those would not be issues for our current situation.
Okay, any questions or comments about, I guess we need to wait to hear more really, but.
Yeah. I will get something out to individual board members as soon as I see something. I guess my original anticipation was nothing until Christmas, but with this email this morning, I kind of anticipate something this week.
I've heard some reports of schools breaking the rules across the state already. You, Sean, heard that?
Yeah, there are several. I sometimes when I'm bored at night, I watch board meetings from around the state so I can remind myself how lucky I am to be in Nez Perce. But there are multiple, maybe about 6 that I'm aware of that have. Now, a lot of those have backed off and returned back to the governor's order after that guidance, and I'm not sure if there are any that are still actively violating it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments, next item on the agenda is a mercifully short policy section of 6,000 about administration. You have it located in your.
Guys, I sent out an email. Andrea McMillan, who, as I introduced at the beginning of the year, she's interning for her superintendent internship through the University of Idaho. And I asked Andrea, under kind of my supervision, to go through this 6,000 section of administration. When this is done, we just have one little short section left to do. So we'll be done with policy. And so for this set, this is just a first reading. And I apologize. It was actually my mistake. I didn't get you the actual policies. I just had Andrea's piece that she had already done. So I will let Andrea kind of go through her work. And then if you have any questions, I guess I'm going to let Andrea field them first. And then I'm more than willing to help out too. I won't leave you alone, Andrea.
We do have the policies up. Do you want me to share this document, Sean?
I have them in
So
Oh,
I
okay.
emailed them out to them, so they should all have them on their computer.
All right. So the new policy 6,000, the old policy number was 300. It's the statement of guiding principles for what the new policy would be. It's just changing it into goals of the administrative staff. I just recommend accepting the change to the new policy number. That's really the only difference between the two.
Mhm.
The next one is incorporating several of the old policies into one new policy. The old policies are 302, 304, 304.3, 305, and 306. All of these old policies are incorporated into new policy 6100. Under duties and authorities, there is an optional piece. Recommend keeping this in order for the district to move forward. If a staff member was to not return their contract by the deadline, and we would need to move forward with hiring someone else for their position. Appointment information is written differently. No evaluation included with the new policy, as the policy should be developed between the board and the superintendent based on the mission and goal statements. Recommend accepting the change to new policy 6100. The next one is old policy number 304.2. Old policy is outdated and only lists superintendent responsibilities. The new policy includes both superintendent and board responsibilities and is current. Recommended adding policy 6100P. And then the next one we do not have a policy for. It's the organization of the district from top down. Recommend accepting this change and adding this new policy 6200. The next one is incorporating two old policies, 310.5 and 309. The old policies are incorporated into a new one for administrative staff other than the superintendent, and recommend accepting this change to new policy 6300. The next one we do not have a policy for. It's employment restrictions for administrative personnel. Recommend adding this new policy 6310. Again, there's another one that there's no policy, old policy for. It's the evaluation of administrative staff. Recommend adding this new policy 6320. Another one that we do not have an old policy for, it's the professional growth and development for administrative staff. Recommend adding that one as policy number 6330. The next two old policy numbers are 310 and 311. The same policy word for word, just need to update the policy number to 6400. So recommend changing it to 6400, sorry. And then another one that we don't have, parent or guardian input form for the principal evaluation, new form to help with evaluation process. Recommend adding this new policy 6400F. And then there's an old policy 312. This one is administrative personnel expenses. It is already in the financial policy. There's no need to keep this one here. So recommend just getting rid of this one. Another old policy is 313. It's already incorporated in policy 5210. The next one is old policy number 314, employing retired administrators. It's already incorporated in policy 5750. The next one is old policy number 350. It's on school calendar. It is already incorporated in policy 2200. And there's a typo here, but the next one is old policy number 354, emergency school closure, and it's already incorporated into policy number 2210. The next one is old policy number 355, health or state national emergency plan. And this one is dated and there's no replacement. The next one is old policy number 356 on school holidays. And this is already incorporated into policy number 2200. And that is it.
So I appreciate Andrea. She went above and beyond and dug through the entire 300 section. And so those last little bits, she was just went through all the policies in 300 and made sure that they were all covered or not needed in our new policy.
That's good. That's good to know.
Mhm.
Anybody have questions for Andrea or Sean? I have a question about, so it's clear that superintendents and principals are part of the administrative team. What other employees with administrative duties are included in that list, especially like for the training that the superintendent's supposed to provide?
So it would include any head teachers or Sean, what else would be included?
Yeah, I don't imagine that we would ever have positions like that, but it might be, you know, other administrative personnel might be like full-fledged, like a curriculum director or something like that would fall into that. I think it's okay to still have in place in policy in case those things are ever established in our district, but I don't anticipate that
I guess
that would,
vice principal,
yeah.
stuff like that would also.
Yeah, vice principal, you know, fall under those type of things. Curriculum directors, those type of administrative positions.
Our current like special ed director, does she have an administrative position or partly? Or?
It's a good position. We don't treat it in our. I mean, I imagine in other schools the special education director is. We don't do that. We just put her under the teacher category.
When I was at CAMI, the federal programs director position was an admin position as well.
Also, correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? That's first reading. So we'll approve those next time around. Unless there's some issues to come up with. Hearing none, then we'll move on to the school calendar change for high and high school. I have no note about that, so is that Mr. Teagues?
I think it is. I can do it if you can't hear us.
I can talk about it. So so my proposal, obviously, just as a coronavirus update, we had a couple of more students test positive today. It appears to me that the positive cases that we have in this school at this point, they're not in the school anymore, including myself. We're all at a single event where the majority of people there were not wearing masks. In other words, a basketball game. All of the cases that we've had with staff members and students were all at that same event. And so that's led to, as you guys know, an influx in cases in our district. You know, we always knew that athletics was probably one of the higher risks. There was another small school superintendent that I was talking with 2 weeks ago, and he said, you know, everything was going good. We had a plan. We didn't really have to put it in place. He said, and then girls basketball started, and he said, this was from a couple of weeks ago. He said it felt like we got hit by a train. And surely I know what getting hit by a train feels like. So, although I do think, with that said, I mean, so that's an individual event. All of the cases, we've had other kids and staff who were not there test because you kind of, you know, you tighten up with symptoms and you want to make sure, you know, all of those have come back negative still. And prior to this kind of explosion, you know, we were watching absenteeism and it was incredibly low. And it wasn't even that kids were in the building with symptoms. It was just things were clicking right along. We weren't even having the regular bugs that we have in the winter. But with that said, it happened. And now, you know, we've got, you know, probably tomorrow will be more than half of the high school will be out either by quarantine order or parent election. My thought is, you know, this week's going to be tough, and certainly there's always the risk of, if you had people in the building that were positive, of some form of an echo. Although I still do believe that, you know, the masking and the distancing protocols that we're doing in school are very effective, and I think we see that with just still no evidence of spread within the school itself, other than extracurricular events. So, but with that said, it's really created some challenges, and like I said from the very beginning, the staffing is the toughest part. Today we had to have a coach drive the junior high basketball team down to a game because we don't have enough bus drivers. We're scrambling to try and make it work. And we had to use a sub that we're going to lose at the end of this month to another full-time job. So our buses are, you know, extremely limited right now. We do not have another substitute teacher right now. And I had a couple of staff members test today, and I knew that if one of them tested positive, we were going to have to combine a class or do something to get through the day. So with all that said, my recommendation, and what I've already communicated to parents, is that Friday, which was never going to be an elementary day, it was just going to be an elementary professional development day, is that in the junior high and high school, we also change our calendar to just give the students that day off. So we'll limp through this week. We've got 3 days left now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then when we put the kids on the bus at the end of the day, Thursday, that'll be their last day in the 2020 school or 2020 calendar year. And then it will begin again as planned in January, that first week of January, first full week. And so the main change that the board would need to approve for the calendar is making Friday still a staff professional development day. That's December 18th, and taking it off the calendar for the junior high and high school students. We still have, you know, I'm aware, I've met with Marcy. I didn't today to make sure I know, but we have, I think our closest class to being under minutes that are required by the state right now is the senior group. They're always the closest because we graduate them early, but I believe that they have 6+ days of kind of flex there, like we do with snow days. So this would be treated like one of those 6 days. I don't know what the spring will bring for sure, or January and February, the winter will bring, but we would, you know, if we have to end up canceling more than 5 days, we might have to look at a way to get the seniors some more hours. But otherwise, we still have some room there for flex. And I think it would be a good way to make it to Christmas vacation.
Was that just curious, is it a home game?
It was a home basketball game. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Sean, I'm not even sure if this is the right time for me to ask the question, but since you feel that this was isolated, I mean, some of the kids that have been tested and turning up negative results, you know, did they have just like regular cold symptoms? I mean,
Yeah, you know, a lot of it, you know, I put something on Facebook about my experience and the headache. So that's one of the things that I've heard is
mhm.
that, you know, people are nervous, which I don't blame them. I didn't want to get this and it's not fun. So, you know, like with headaches, you know, they might be asking me, do you think I should go get tested? And of course I'm saying at this point, yes. You know, if you have any symptoms, I think you should get tested because it really does help us to make good decisions. I can't, I know it's hard sometimes and you don't want to do it and it might lead to quarantine, but it's just about, if you know, then you might be able to stop some of that spread. So,
Yeah.
so I, you know, and people just kind of get nervous. I know like with one of my own daughters who isn't sick, it's like, you know, as soon as her dad was sick, she's like, well, I might be sick too. Well, I don't think she is, but, it's just that feeling when you know other people that are sick. So
Right. Well, I'm just saying, I kept Serene home today. I mean, she's got just
Yeah.
typical, you know, sniffles and a little bit of a scratchy throat. And it's like, well, do I go get her tested or not? I mean,
yeah, I would, you know, every parent's got to make that decision. I always think it's good to act with, you know, that knowledge. So that's what I've been advising parents, and anyone listening on YouTube, you know, could hear that too, that, you know, it really is pretty quick and easy, and they have tests set up. If you tell them you're either a student or a staff member, they'll prioritize getting you in and getting you a test.
and
So
maybe this will be helpful for other people too. So
yeah.
if I'm going to take Serene in to get a test, then I would just call St. Mary's and go over to Cottonwood. They have it set up there, or what are,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, so I can just kind of, it's good. I think it's good that this is public and I don't mind sharing at all. So, you know, I called the Nez Perce Clinic on Friday morning when I had kind of continued symptoms lingering from Thursday. I had stayed home after lunch, and they don't have a test in Nez Perce, but they, you know, I called at 8 o'clock and they transferred me over to Cottonwood, their clinic. And then I set up an appointment for 9:30, and really quick and easy test. You don't have to go inside. You pull up and sit in your car. A nurse comes out to you, tickles the back of your nostrils. It's not, you know, it's not a 3-foot long thing. It's really about 4 inches, I think. And it, you know, kind of, it tickles, but it doesn't hurt. It's not all the way to the back of your brain like it used to be. And then it, you know, results in about 45 minutes after that. I had just barely driven back home from Cottonwood by the time they called. So very, very simple and easy, and you don't have to go into a hospital or be around a bunch of other sick people.
Okay.
It's just a quick test.
Okay. And so then just to reiterate, so if I call and schedule to go ahead and do that tomorrow, they're not going to try to decide whether we should be allowed to even get it based on her symptoms. It'll be like based on our school. They'll say, yeah, bring her in.
Correct. If you identify yourself as you've got a kid in school and you need them to be tested, that's what this antigen test is. Now that the antigen test, they may, you know, and this is for people listening too, if you don't have symptoms, the accuracy of that test decreases significantly. And so if you're calling as a student and you don't have any symptoms, they may advise you to, you know, that you probably don't need a test.
Okay.
But other than that, with symptoms, they will get you in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry to take up so much time, but that might be helpful to other people listening too. So
I do think it is helpful.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Well, it's catching up with us. Not that many people who get this end up with their name in the paper, though, Mr. Key.
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to be open and honest, and I'm hoping that it maybe serves as a little bit of model for other people. I want to emphasize, I know, I mean, I had someone say so much for your masks working, which I didn't think was particularly nice, but I still believe, I mean, given that every single case has been somebody who was at this event, and it was exactly 5 days, which is the peak of the normal curve when you would experience symptoms after being exposed after that event. And we had, well, now all but one of our cases began symptoms on that day, and one was a little bit later. So that all of that tells me that it was an event where, you know, again, the kids weren't wearing masks, and that's the risk that we're taking. It's good. We know there's advantages for them to be playing sports. Absolutely, we know that, but we just this comes with it.
Thank you, and I appreciate your, willing to make yourself a model and sharing with everyone, because it's not easy. Okay, then we need a motion to change the calendar for junior high and senior high for this December change.
So we're just gonna count, so Friday, it's still just Friday, and then.
Yeah, yep. I think, Christmas is going to give us a chance to kind of see what's going on. I don't think there's any need to put the cart before the horse. We'll look at, once Christmas happens, we'll look at where we're at. We're going to have quite a few kids that are immune to it for a few months. I guess they say up to 3 months right now. So maybe we won't get that outbreak. And maybe hopefully, if we're wearing masks in school, and this can kind of just be contained to this individual event. And I still plan on resuming school like we've talked about in January.
I was talking about the rest of the week.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, if the board wants to discuss that, I don't know. I wasn't there today. I know, you feel bad because it does put a lot on, I know Mary and Jackie, you can certainly add if you want to, but there's a lot of scrambling today to figure out. There's a lot of anxiety that comes with it, but everything in my communications with them today, I mean, they've just been on top of things, and we're still able to staff the classrooms at this point, and protocols are being followed. And so and we've got to continue to learn. I mean, we can't just stop with that. So I think, again, it's a good plan, and we'll just continue out this week. I know there's a lot of cases. I have a feeling that kids who are even slightly symptomatic are staying home right now anyways, because of that's what happens in a small town. We know everybody, and we can react to these things pretty quickly.
Jackie?
We had 25 out in the junior, senior high, 15 out in the elementary, and some that wanted to leave. I called parents, made sure that's really what they wanted. There was some that did and some that did not. They want their kids at school, but they're also concerned if they have other siblings with any symptoms, please send them home, because now this is happening. So I think parents are being very responsible about it and trying to help us stay open. And I think the 4 days, as opposed to the 5 days, that 5th day was going to be a lot more group stuff. And of course, we're going to have to wear masks, but it's just one of those situations where it's just less and less kids. And they are, on the most part, joining in online. And they're, either attending a Google Meet or answering their teachers' emails. And we had probably 10 people come and pick up supplies today. We laid them outside, all covered with their names on them, and so they didn't even have to come to the office. And then we just had a few that we had to bring back in tonight until tomorrow. So teachers are really good about getting the materials to the office, and so we can get them to the kids. A few with some internet issues, but we're handling it. It's just going to have to be a little different for them. So I think it's working. It's just as long as we don't go too deep. It's just a different kind of teaching. The teachers are having to kind of revamp some assessments that we're going to do, put less points on them or do them differently, because it's really hard to come back after 2 weeks and let's take a test on this.
Mm-hmm.
So they're working it out. And having that remote learning professional development class that they're working on now has been helping.
I think we have about, just so the board knows, about 15 students right now that are on official quarantine where they are not allowed to be in the school. Just for that number, that's all in the high school. I think we have 43 high school students and 15 are on an official quarantine.
Well, in a way, we can be thankful it's right now because we do get that Christmas thing to work through some of this. So seems like a decent plan, as long as we don't have I know what you're kind of worried about, probably a big blow up, sending a bunch of kids homesick in the next 3 days. But if that doesn't happen, I think we'll be all right.
It's one other thing that I'll say, because it's public. I mean, and people are listening. I know, like, I think it's important to be as responsible as you can over Christmas break too. I know I'm not in the business of telling people what to do, but one thing I've thought about with mine is, I did not come into contact with anybody who knowingly had COVID-19, and I got it. So that means that I either came into someone that was either, I guess, pre-symptomatic or had mild symptoms and decided not to get tested, or just was asymptomatic completely. So it's a reminder to me that, this thing can spread without anybody feeling symptoms or knowing that they have a positive test.
And I think where now is if we don't have staff to cover the classes, that's, I think, is going to shut us down quicker than having more kids gone. Because we can balance that online and face-to-face, but we're kind of at the very edge of that, of not being able to operate.
Yeah, another example today, just for the board to know, is that, we had to have our junior high coach drive a van down to the basketball game because we don't have anyone to ride a bus or to drive a bus. So we are at the edge.
Okay. Entertain a motion for change the calendar for Friday.
Need to change the school calendar for junior and high and senior high.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Is there anybody opposed to the motion? Anybody abstain from the motion? Then that's unanimous. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you. I should say thank you, Mr. Teeks, for being here even at all today when you're suffering a little bit still, but I'm glad you're feeling better. And thank you for working with Mrs. Mossman to keep us in business and with Marcy and Mary and other staff members here.
Yep.
We've got these fine baskets on our table. Does somebody want to tell us about those things?
Yeah, Jackie, do you want to just talk about those?
Sure. I guess if you're not here, we'll sell them. No, this is just a token of appreciation from the school for all that you guys do. It's been a tough year for you as well, being the representatives for areas that you are responsible for. And we just want to let you know that we appreciate all the things you do, and we will make sure we get those delivered. If we can trust your kids, we'll send them home with your kids, and we will get those to you. So thank you, board members, for all you guys do for the
Thank
school.
you. Very
You're
nice.
welcome. Thanks. Yeah.
They look just great. Beautiful. Thanks a lot. Next item on our agenda is we're done with action items. We've got a couple reports, but first, if there's any discussion about how the ISBA convention went this year, or if you have any highlights you remember that you'd like to share with other board members. I'll just start out by saying I was pleased that it went as well as it did, because it's a big convention. There's a lot of people and a lot of expectations. I think that I got quite a bit out of the sections that I took part in. And in particular, they had these breakout rooms. I did a couple of those, and I thought those were really good. We could share with other districts about how we're doing things, or hear how they're doing things. And also some of the workshops I thought were pretty good. Well, quite good too. Anybody else have some things you'd like to share?
One thing that I really liked, like first day I was having kind of a hard time finding sessions that I really wanted to go to, but for the second day it was like, oh, how do I choose? So it was great to have those recorded and on the app on my Whova, and I can still go in and watch ones that I haven't seen before that are recorded, and you can't do that with regular convention, but that was really one of the only upsides. I miss being there in person. But
I agree with that. That was nice. And then the break, I think you're talking about like the breakout sessions, like with
Yeah.
just the small
The little
schools.
rooms. and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was really nice because then you could hear from schools in our same situation and demographic, I guess, really. So that was nice. I guess we would have been gone those days anyways. I was, I'll share. I was with Sean during the convention, or I would not have been able to watch as I did. So it gave me something to do
Yeah.
while I was at home.
There you go.
You're right. I think it went really well, better than I would have expected.
mhm.
I'll report about the region meeting. I know I don't know how, I can't remember. I know that, were you there at the region meeting, Polly?
Mhm.
And then Carrie was there. I can't remember if Sandy or Quinn was there, but so as far as my participation on the executive board, to make a long story short, they voted me back in, which means I'm on for 4 years because of the rotation. I filled in for somebody else, and so I made it clear to everyone that that's what they were getting if they voted for me. So I'm now the vice chair on the executive board for Region 2, and so that's 2-year assignment, and then there's 2 more years as chair on the executive board. So I'm excited to do that. I'm looking forward to do that. I wanted to share one other thing with you guys, with the board members, about Region 2 and the executive board. So I have been, I've thought about it before, about, I've been involved with ISBA for a long time. And I've seen some things that are really good and some things that I thought could be improved. And I've thought over the last few years in particular about whether or not I would run for the executive board. Well, for the officers. So we have ISBA has 4 officers: vice president, president-elect, president, and past president. So it's a 4-year commitment. And I was kind of approached, or I guess not really drafted, but asked to consider it by a few members of the executive board. So I've kind of revisited that idea and would like to put my name in going forward into the next year. So that'd be the election next November. But I really would like to know from my fellow board members that that's okay with you.
Of course.
Would support that, because it's a time consuming thing. But I think it might fit well, because I'm hopefully someday next year going to retire from my current job in the University of Idaho. So it might fit in well that way. But I did want to give you guys the opportunity. If you don't want to say anything now, that's fine. You can just drop me an email or a text. Or if you would support me in that, I'd appreciate it.
Definitely.
And I've ran for jobs that I got defeated on before, so there's no guarantee. But I think ISBA is a good board. They're kind of, as an organization, they'll be going through some change because their executive director is retiring next March, I think. And she's been a force for them. She's done a really great job, I think.
Mhm.
And so they'll be going through some changes. It'll be an interesting time to be on the board regardless of whether or not I serve as an officer. But okay. We did pass a large school, small school alternating bylaw change, and it would be the small school's turn this next time coming up. And we fit that definition. So, and we'll fit it a lot more this coming week.
Yeah. Mm.
Do you have any questions about that or comments? Okay, I'll keep you apprised of that as we go forward with it. So K-12 principal report, Mrs. Musselman.
Okay. Winter concerts, we have 3 different winter concerts. Our K4 was live streamed on Friday, December 11th around 1:30. It takes a little while to sometimes people were texting, well, why is it not starting? But it just took a while to get all the kids in there. And I think it went really well. I've watched it at home as well. The junior high one will be pending kids this Thursday. And it is actually 5th through 8th grade. It'll be the link is on the school calendar, so it's really easy to find on our website. We'll have to reschedule the high school one, which was going to happen this Friday, but there were many band members that were gone, so it would have worked out anyway. And we're looking at January 15th for that. It's not in stone yet, but we'll know after Christmas break. So really interesting, again, the things that we're learning because of how we have to do things, and it's really given us a different way to look at perhaps presenting things in the future. Andrea's been helping me a lot with 12 Days of Christmas. We did a few things for staff last year, but this year we decided to go the whole 12 days. So there's something new every day that the staff has to look forward to. Sometimes it's treats, sometimes it's just a cocoa tea bar, kind of like what you've had here. Holiday mass. We'll do different things like you can see in the pictures, a tree topper day where you're just wearing a hat. And it just really kind of helps the staff with morale. We've had some drawings, and we'll do some drawings at the end as well. The high school ASB have, if you can see in the picture, they have their own aprons, and it's an NHS coffee corner, and it's become quite popular. We have a staff, a Google Doc that the staff can order. We're not going to be able to do it this Friday. But we sell about 40 cups average a Friday morning between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. It's a lot of coffee and cocoa going out the door, but it's really, really going well. The kids are really liking it. I think some are looking at being aspiring baristas. The tips, we do collect tips, and they all go for our charity, which we'll announce in January. We're looking at a couple different charities. We had our first virtual knowledge bowl. Our juniors were the highest score of all the schools. I believe there were 5 schools. Our school was first place. The seniors got the second high score with all the schools. So they're doing really well. We will have 4 more. If you have any good content questions, send them to Melanie Cronk. She's looking for some more questions. She will have to do that, have 1 time or 2 times that she has to develop the questions. Junior high is also going to do their first one, I believe, this Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So Shari Walbum is the person who is in charge of the junior high knowledge bowl. So they're pretty excited about that. There's a picture of them. They were all in separate rooms, and there was an adult had to be in each room. So they had a good time. Sports, as you know, is in full swing. The poster fans have been pretty cool to see in the bleachers every game. It seems like there are more and more of them. We had a successful boys senior night. We have Austin, AJ, and Jared as seniors with their families. And this is the last week for the junior high basketball with Coach Justin McLeod. And tonight and tomorrow, and in order for him to get him in the van, he just kind of split the team up and had different kids play. Sometimes both games, it depends, just so that he can fit it in the van and just kind of help the boys play their last week. As far as clubs and CTE, it's a little different this year because of all the events are virtual or they're not doing them. Junior high math counts, Mr. Carpenter has been meeting on Mondays with 7th and 8th grade. Sometimes it's different groups of kids because of what's going on. FFA had a pretty successful Thanksgiving flower sale. Mr. Stapleton's been down there working with Christmas flowers recently, so you might be able to catch some of those. I saw some of the arrangements at the store. I think that's where most of them are being sold. I don't think they're doing an online one at this time. So go to the store or contact Mr. Stapleton if you're interested in some Christmas flower arrangements. POSA is doing a food point competition. Typically, we've all been crammed in the library building some kind of sculpture with food. This year, we can't do that. So they're in laundry baskets or boxes, and we're collecting this food, and the kids have a point value for the food, and it has to do with their nutrition value. And so the more nutritious the food is, the more points they're going to get. And there'll be a pizza party later for those students that win. ASB coffee sales, we've talked about that, but we did have a fundraiser the last few weeks from Landgrove Coffee Company in Troy. So if you ordered coffee, they'll be delivered sometime this week, and we will make sure we get them to you before Christmas, even if I have to come in next week to get them. No problem. The Big Brother, Big Sister program is still continuing virtually, and all week the Girls Club will be selling candygrams, and Andrea McMillan is their advisor for that. And is it online this?
It is online. A lot of the teachers didn't get their letters out until today, though.
Oh, okay, so they'll be kind of picking
Yeah.
up. There were the parents really liked the online ordering because a lot of candy goes through. They're helping on those candygram days. ASB, elementary ASB decided to do their. And it's going to be for the Ronald McDonald House. We had Forrest Nelson, one of our ASB members, do a little presentation on how he benefited from using the Ronald McDonald House. And so we're really excited to help give back. And it's caused a lot of kids to come think about how they can help and give back. Food drive, they're also doing a food drive, but they're adding it to the HOSA points. I told them there's 105 students in elementary. If they all brought one container, box, can, then that's a lot of food, and they're never going to stop at one. So I think we're going to have a lot more than 105 pieces of food. And then there's a picture of a 6th grader Mrs. Zenner had in her STEAM project, which is a STEM with art, involved 6th graders before Thanksgiving learned about what floats were, and the floats were actually really floated on the water, but this is the big Macy Day Parade floats and how the history of how they began. And so the kids, if you went down the elementary hallway before Thanksgiving, there were floats everywhere hanging from the ceiling. And Shari Wabam does our Smart Mart advisor, and she has created an online shopping format for the kids, and it's always focused on budgeting. They've seen their parents shop online probably since March a lot. And so there's a lot of budgeting they're learning, and what's your wants and what's your needs. And then the picture is showing her. She delivered all of their items to them after they did their online transactions. And then the junior high had a BSU virtual visit for Gear Up, and that would be 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And then of course, our December 18th will not be our mascot reveal celebration and other things we have planned. We're going to postpone that until January sometime. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions. We've been busy.
Yeah, sure.
I love the flowers.
A coffee order?
What's that?
The coffee, how do you order that?
It was on the Facebook page. I know Sean posted a few times, and it's through Landgrove. But it's over now. But every year we do it through Landgrove Coffee. We try to.
I missed it last year and this year.
And this year, well, you have any extra that happen to come, I'll certainly let you know.
All right, thank you. Oh, I don't do Facebook much. Okay, any other questions or comments? Sure busy, that's for sure. Okay, next is Mr. Tiggs, Superintendent.
So amazing to me as Jackie's talking and I'm talking, like we just put these documents together late last week and so much has changed. Just as a legislative update for you guys, the legislative session starts January 11th. There are some rumors that it might be a shortened session. Just kind of get in and do the most important things the legislature needs to do. I don't know that that'll happen or not. I mean, it's going to be determined by those legislators. But it starts January 11th. We have interestingly 3 relatively local. I don't know if you read it in the paper too, but senators that are all on the Senate Education Committee, which is I think a really neat representation of our part of Idaho. I think it's Senator David Nelson from Moscow, and then Senator Carl Crabtree, who represents some of our Nez Perce constituents in Idaho County, and then also Senator Dan Johnson, all serving on the the Senate Education Committee. So we don't have any representation on the House Ed Committee, but Senate, we're well stocked with local senators. I met with Representative Von Ellinger, Representative Kingsley, and Senator Dan Johnson. It was a really, normally I have the board there, but I had emailed them the night before and said, hey, we should meet sometime. Is there any time that works for you guys? And they said, we're in Nez Perce tomorrow. Can you meet? And so I just met with them. We just covered lots of topics. We'll see how long this session goes, but I expect funding formula has gotten some more talk. Obviously, lots of talk surrounding the governor's health orders. The 5% holdback, there's still, it looks like we have a surplus, but some of that is because it's counting in that 5% holdback that the governor put in place. What'll be interesting to me is you have legislators who like to, save every penny, that certainly might be for a 5% holdback, but then also not for it because it was the governor's decision and not theirs. So I think that'll be an interesting to see what happens with that. And then just there's some legislation regarding continuous improvement planning and mandatory board training that you should be aware of as board members. And then just obviously coronavirus, I expect to kind of drive some of the conversation as well. Jackie covered the events. I'll just mention junior high volleyball starts after Christmas. Just other notes that I had, the staff really did with those goodie bags there. They wanted me to express their deep gratitude for the support that you guys have demonstrated for them. They appreciate your thoughtfulness and concern. School resumes on Monday, January 4th. And then our semester, you remember it's a little different this year than what we've done last 3, will end January 22nd. One other note on scores. Our PSAT scores came in for our juniors, and I just want to, they've had 2 tests, standardized tests come in. They scored exceptionally well on the ASVAB, which is the Armed Services Test. And then what they did on the ASVAB, they went even farther. I just want to mention that, all of our students in the junior class, every single one of them, talk about no child left behind, scored at an AP or advanced placement level ready. So that means from the top to the bottom, they just did an outstanding job. This junior class did really well, and it's a good reflection on our school. So thought I would pass that along. The other thing that I attached there is just the sheet that I gave to the senator and representatives as we kind of face new challenges with the legislature coming together. And that is my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Comments? Okay. Hearing none then, thank you very much for your report and get some rest.
Yeah.
Continue to feel better. That's all we have on our agenda for tonight. Thank you, everybody who's online, the 3 board members, and anybody else who is on YouTube. Thank you, Polly, for being here. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion, hearing none. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstained? Thank you very much. Everyone have a Merry Christmas. Oh, Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas as well.
Merry Christmas.
One other thing, if anyone's still listening, I was reminded that FFA is selling metal art, flowers, and other stuff this Saturday down next to the store. I know she's rotating people around, but it will be FFA's turn. So some cool student created stuff down there this Saturday.
Nice.
All day or what time?
I don't know. Sandy, do you know what time slot they have? Or
I think they plan on 9 to 3.
9 to 3. There you go. Perfect.
Thank you. 'Cause
Thanks.
it's hard to go shopping these days, you know?
Yeah. If you didn't get coffee, you can get something there, Ken.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, Sandy. Thanks for doing that, Sandy. It's so nice to have that.
Absolutely.
All right.